चाबी देखें घर का ऊपर तो एक ही आपका
मेघालय की गई होगी, अब शुरू होने वाला है। नहीं
बैगन कहाँ ले जाएगी?
मेघालय लेके चली गई होगी, क्यों लेके चली गई है? ठीक, 5 मिनट बाद शुरू। वो लोग कितने बजे निकलेंगे? लोग निकल गए क्या?
लाइट दो तो
हो सकता है कभी भी आ जाता।
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning. So, dot on time, sir. I'm ready. Good.
Yes, sir. We will start after a few minutes.
We have time.
Please take, sir.
But I just wanted to check. I'm not very tech savvy. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Fine. I thought I better check.
Okay.
Good morning, Professor Deepak Kumar.
Good morning, Professor Bhattacharya. Good morning. I hope my voice is okay.
Yeah. Your voice is okay. Okay. And good morning to all of Tipti and others, those who have joined.
I'm so glad you thought of me.
No.
Who was so scared of mathematics. I remember in my childhood.
Acha.
Yeah. Oh my God. I studied at Jila School, Munger in Bihar.
Acha.
And Saraswati Puja Day, I would carry Jadav Chakravarti's Ankogani and Nesfield grammar. और उसका पाँव पे रख के बोलते, माँ तुम पढ़ो, मुझे
Uh,
But I don't think she ever left me. No.
नहीं उनकी सब आशीर्वाद है.
Ah, it's her grace.
Hmm.
But I was a very ardent follower of. This is the only puja I still love most.
Yeah.
Saraswati Puja.
Hmm.
But she never taught me mathematics. No. She had something else for me. Now, your society is very historic. Was it founded
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay?
Yes. In 1908.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Much before Indian Science Congress. Yes.
Yeah. It is the first established society in Asia
I know
and
you are
India.
very historic. Oh, God's grace. And you continue the tradition.
Yeah. In lockdown period also, we have organized several
Wow.
conferences and webinar. And there are some workshops also. Just from Friday, we are starting on a workshop.
Wow.
And Professor T. Shom and from BHU, IIT BHU, and Professor Sima Sarkar Mondol from NIT Durgapur. They are organizing that workshop.
Very good. 2 months ago, I went to Allahabad, Christian Institute.
Yeah, yeah.
A great place. The library I looked at. So it was a great fortune to talk to colleagues there.
Yeah.
And they were highly receptive. It's a wonderful institution.
I have one collaborator there, Himangi Madhusudan Shah.
Okay. Pinaki Babu is the director there.
Yes.
Lovely campus.
Yeah, it is very good. Have you visited Jadavpur University?
Many times.
Oh,
Kolkata has been my second home right from 1976.
Oh,
And my book, Science and the Raj, was born there.
Oh.
Regularly. So I am an honorary Kolkatan.
Yeah.
So I never taught there, never studied there. That was a time when my friends used to go to Oxbridge. I would say, Kolkata amar London. London kene jao? London e ki ache bo? We have everything in Kolkata. So far as history is concerned. So I never took a foreign degree. I was inspired by, when as a child I read about Meghnad Shah, Satyendra Bose sitting in Kolkata.
Yes.
They were truly global. So why go abroad for a degree? Now things have taken such a turn, God knows. I feel sad. What a great university Calcutta was, or Jadavpur.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I think my voice is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's exactly 11. So should we wait sometimes more? Because I think there are only 21 participants at this moment, or just we can start.
2-3 minutes more we can.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they are joining.
Give them 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Indian standard time.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I just Rajkumar Babu has joined. So Kali Shankar joined.
And Professor Bira?
No, I'm just calling him. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just calling him. হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ বলছি জয়েন করুন ওই লিঙ্কটাতে, লিঙ্ক আছে একটা। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ। Yes, he is joining. Okay.
Okay. Bablu, I am sharing something.
Rashid, President sir has joined.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, sir.
Good morning, Deepak sir.
Namaskar,
Kumar
namaskar.
from Asiatic Society.
Oh, yes, yes, I remember you now. Of course, yes, I can
Yeah.
see you.
I'm
Yes.
reading your book, enjoying it very much. Science and Society in
Acha,
Modern
you-
India.
Ita. This one.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is the bust of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee. And it is in Calcutta Mathematical Society. So Professor Rashid Bera has joined, but again left, I think. Can you hear, Kaushik?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, sir. So let us start now. It is 11:05, I think. Oh, Kaushik is off.
Am I audible properly?
Yeah. Now we can start, I think. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So, good morning, everyone. Today we have gathered here in the online platform just to celebrate the 116th Foundation Day of Calcutta Mathematics Society. As you can see that we have shared the burst with the garland of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, who was the founder president of this Calcutta Mathematical Society. As we know that this was founded in the year 1908 on this particular date, 6th September. And that is why every year we celebrate this particular day with certain programs. So this year we are celebrating, like the previous years, 2 different programs will be held today. The first one will be this webinar at this morning time. And after that, it will be followed by one particular examination, mathematical ability test for the class 11 and 12 students. So we will have this online test after this particular program. So here we have gathered just to hear from distinguished speaker, Professor Deepak Kumar. He will be delivering a lecture on history of science. That is actually the choice of the particular topic. And his particular topic, if I am not wrong, his topic will be particularly a relationship between the science and the society, and the particular historical perspective he will deliver. And before to start, I request our Secretary, Sir, Professor Arina Bhattacharya, to deliver his welcome address. Please.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kaushik Ghosh. And I heartily welcome you all to this webinar, which is a celebration of our 116th Foundation Day celebration program. In 1908, Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, then Vice Chancellor of University of Calcutta, who is also a mathematician, eminent mathematician, who has published many works in his in Asiatic Society, Journal of Asiatic Society at that time, on geometry and partial differential equations. So he has founded, as an image of London Mathematical Society, this Calcutta Mathematical Society in 1908, 6 September. So this is the first established society in India and Asia. And after that, after him, many eminent persons have joined this society, and they have given their expertise in the field of mathematics. And some of the names are Fisher, Preche, Professor J.B. Narlikar, Einstein, S.N. Bose, and many, many eminent persons, Kalish, Professor C. Kalish, many other eminent mathematicians and researchers have contributed their work, research work, in the Bulletin of the Calcutta Mathematical Society, because the Bulletin of the Calcutta Mathematical Society first introduced in 1909. In 1909, they have started the Bulletin of the Calcutta Mathematical Society, which is now in UGC listed journal. We have many programs throughout the year in Calcutta Mathematical Society. So from the beginning of the year, in January, February, we generally organize a 1-day or 2-day conference on S.N. Bose, on the as a celebration of the birth centenary of S.N. Bose, generally on mathematical physics and allied topics. And after that, in the summer session, we organize a workshop on different topics of mathematics, which is for the college and university teachers and the research scholars. This is a 1-week program, but due to some problems this year, we are starting this program on 8th September. Now, we just on Friday it will start, and Professor Tanmay Shom of IIT BHU and Professor Shima Sarkar Mondol of NIT Durgapur is organizing that workshop very efficiently, and we will start from the 8th September. And many participants from college and universities have registered for that program. So that is our summer program. Actually, it is a summer program, but this year we are starting just a little bit late. And next our program is 6th September program. That is the Foundation Day program, where our treasurer, Dr. Kaushik Ghosh, has just told that it is divided into 2 parts. First part is lecture is organized by some eminent speaker. So this year, Professor, we have opportunity to have Professor Deepak Kumar of JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, to give a talk on history of science, is social perspective. So, and then we will organize a advanced mathematical ability test for 1 year for class 11, 12, and another year for class 9 and 10. So this year it is for class 11 and 12. Then we organize our international conference in December, generally in December. This year it will start from 5th December, 5th to 7th. So regularly we organize these things, this conference, and in between these things, we also organize net training courses in 2 halves. First half from February to July, that is a 4-month course, March, April, May, June, up to June end. And again from August to November, we give 4 months net training course. Those who are giving net exam in mathematics, so they are trained here by our eminent professors from different universities, from Jadavpur University, Calcutta University, Kolkata University, from Institute, ISI, and many. So they give training to the aspirants, candidates. Also, there are some, in the summer we organize internship program. Internship program is for university and college students, for BSc or MSc students. This year the 5 students from Amity University done the internship program. Last year from Jadavpur University also 1 student came to do internship program. From Amity University, generally 5, 6, 7, 8 students each year they come here to do the internship program. So throughout this year, we organize different types of activities, and you know that there are 2 very important journals, publications are there. The Bulletin of the Calcutta Mathematical Society, I have just told that it is publishing from 1909. So it is a 150th volume is coming, and 6 issues, generally 6 issues we publish. Pardon? Oh, sorry, sir. So, so there are 6 issues of the Bulletin of the Calcutta Mathematical Society, which is UGC listed journal from the beginning, and it is now going on. And from 2004, we have also publishing Journal of Calcutta Mathematical Society. It is also now UGC listed journal, Journal of the Calcutta Mathematical Society. It is a semi-annually, that means 2 issues comes in June and December. So these are the publications, and there are news bulletin of Calcutta Mathematical Society, which is now, it is totally online. There are some popular talks or popular writings on mathematics or science is published there, and it is given to all members by online. So it is free to all of us. So the membership also is going on throughout the year. So you can take the membership of Calcutta Mathematical Society, life membership. So life membership fee is 4,500 for, it is for all the life and there are some annual membership also, the provision for annual membership, and for students membership there is an annual membership of students also is there for BSc and MSc students. So these are the different activities which are going on in Calcutta Mathematical Society, which was established by Sir Asutosh Mukherjee, and we are carrying on. So I hope you will enjoy the lecture. I will not go in details more. So with this, I end my talk. Okay. Okay,
Yes,
Kaushik.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful welcoming address. And now I request our honorary president, sir, Professor Kumar to say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you everybody for attending this webinar. And it is already said that it is a special day for the Mathematical Society, and the versatile personality of Ashutosh Mukherjee has given us this opportunity to move forward the mathematics education and other types of activities. Here in this special day, we can the activities from the very beginning by our Ashutosh Mukherjee, a versatile mathematician. The education, this mathematical education is going on in a very interesting and also manner, and people are coming from outside and inside of West Bengal. As we have already stated that Dr. Bhattacharya has told you the activities of this society, and the society has been that in spite of these seminars or other works for the development of the education and mathematics. I hope that we can understand activity in the next system. We can also hear partly what we will be doing here in the next education. I thank you all and that you enjoy the webinar, the next part of our discussion. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, Kaushik, please start, Professor.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for wonderfully welcoming this particular gathering here over the online platform. And we require your motivation and inspiration throughout this program to have a success on this particular day. And now the stage is for the today's distinguished lecture that will be delivered by Professor Deepak Kumar. Before to start this particular lecture, let me introduce Professor Kumar. And as I have this particular short CV of Professor Kumar, let me read out the main highlighting features of his profile. As a very honorable and very academic person, and he was a former professor of History of Science and Education from Zakir Hussain Center for Educational Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, India. And currently, he is an honorary professor of Department of History, MANEU, Hyderabad. And there are so many publications were published, actually 10 different books and 45 different articles on different aspects of science and society in colonial and modern India. And let me just read out some of the names. As you can see, Science and the Raj, The Trishanku Nation, Memory, Self and Society in the Contemporary India, Atam Khabar, Sanskriti, Samaj aur Hum, Technology and the Raj, Medical Encounter in British India, The British Empire and the Natural World, Environmental Encounters in South Asia, Education in Colonial India, Tilling the Land, Agricultural Knowledge and Practices in Colonial India, etc. These are the books. And there are some forthcoming books. One is Culture of Science and the Making of Modern India, that is going to be published by Premise Books, Delhi. And Science and Society in Modern India, that is to be published by Cambridge University Press. And he got different awards and honors. To mention a few, he got first Mahamana Madan Mohan Malivya Chair, BHU, from Benares, President and Convener of 20th International Association of Historians of Asia Conference, which held at New Delhi. He's a founder, President of International Science and Empire. He's the President of Modern India Section, Indian History Congress, 60th session, which held at Calcutta in the year December 1999. As a professor, R.C. Gupta Endowment History of Science lecture, he delivered this lecture and got this award, given National Academy of Science. As the President of South Asia Indian Association of Asian Pacific Studies, Vice President of International Association of Historians of Asia within the year 2004 to 6, and member of Académie Nationale d'Histoire des Sciences in Paris, chair and convener Science and Society Section, Indian Science Congress during the years 1993 to 1995. He delivered different lectures and seminars or talks abroad, like the universities as Oxford, Cambridge, London, Glasgow, Manchester, Sheffield, Lancaster, Bath, to mention a few. Also in different sections of other Asian countries, even in USA also, and European other countries, and some other Asian countries. He got fellowship from different and professorship at the universities of Cambridge, Leiden, London, Wisconsin, Jerusalem, from Shantiniketan also, York, Toronto, Canberra, Sussex, Tehran, etc. So different universities, even Indian universities like Bardwan University, Jadavpur University, Hyderabad University. So it's a very distinguished person. He will be delivering his talk today. And before to start his talk, as he has shared with us, let me share also with you. These are perhaps the forthcoming books. One, you can see The Culture of the Science and Making of Modern India. This is one book. And the second book is here. It comes as Science and Society in Modern India. So these are the two different books. I think these are forthcoming books, which will be published shortly in this particular year. So with this short introduction, I invite Professor Kumar to deliver his lecture. Please, stage is yours.
Honorable President and members of this historic society, I'm grateful to you for the opportunity given. I must at the outset confess my limitations. I have never been a student of science. I studied history all through my life, and it is as a student of history that I got interested in how science, technology, rational thinking, etc., have played a role in our civilizational march, in our historical march. Sometime in 1968, 67, I came across a little pamphlet, little booklet. It was called Science and Society. It was a lecture delivered by Professor M.G.K. Menon, All India Radio Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture. And those days, publication division would publish small things. I glanced through it. I was very interested. I didn't realize science plays such a great role. But as the history department curriculum goes, we were obsessed with political history. We are still obsessed with politics. You look at any newspaper, anything. So I studied national, from Clive, Dalhousie, Karjan, Gandhi, Nehru, like this, or European history, French Revolution, First World War, Second World War, like this. This is what the history courses are normally. But one word struck me when I was doing my master's. That word was, when you use the term colony, that word was plantation. Why the colonies were called plantation? Indigo plantation, tea plantation, Java plantation, Ceylon plantation, so forth, Nilgiri plantation. What it had to do with plants and what the knowledge of plant was doing. So this knowledge of plant took me to the entire gamut of scientific activities. How science played a role in this process of colonization, which was a great historic force which emerged sometime during 17th century when East India Company was formed, Elizabeth I period. And this was the period when scientific revolution was taking place. This was followed by the Industrial Revolution of 18th century and so forth. And I could see there was a link between the two. Knowledge, which went into as science, and the process of colonization, which overwhelmed us. I'm still talking to you in a language which is neither my mother tongue nor yours, but I'm comfortable. Simply because of this historic development which took place during the last 3 centuries. So we need to study history not only in terms of political persons, ideas, movements, etc., or only in terms of economic forces, as our Marxist scholars would like to, and they have done it so beautifully. But in terms of culture, wherein science and scientific knowledge has played enormous role. We are, because what history of reason or rationality has taught us today. We have reached this because of that process. And one thing that struck me most was that India was never a xenophobic civilization. We were there were no borders. The borders were so porous. One doesn't know how this Jambu Dvipa, how big it was. Jambu, of course, means jamun, where this blackberry is found. The borders probably didn't exist. Ideas moved, trade items moved. We had a very old civilization, Indus Valley civilization, which we had lost about, but much later we came to know about it, which was probably as great as the Babylonians or the Assyrians or the Egyptians. And there was communication. There must have been some scientific knowledge, and of course, lots of tools, which you find in excavations in Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and many other places, local, etc. There must have been some calculations done to build a hammam or to build a huge urban civilization. Later, during the Vedic period, we come across the term Shulba Sutras. We have Sankhagya, Parimanagya, and Sulbavid. So these terms appear, and there are references, there are works done on it, which shows that our civilization has always been a thinking civilization. In spite of mantras and incantations, we have examples of where a lot of emphasis was put on yukti. You come across this term very frequently, yukti. Yukti, logic, reasoning. You also come across terms like anuman, inference, praman, proof. These are all mathematical terms, which shows that our ancestors in deep past were aware of and were engaged with promoting knowledge as they then perceived. The tradition continues. And later you come across great names like Aryabhatta, Varahamihira, Brahmagupta, Bhaskara 1, Bhaskara 2, numerous names. And many names may have been lost. And India had developed, our country had developed a huge tradition around astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. They mingled also with each other. Varahamihira not only talks about astronomy, but also about psychology in his Brihad Samhita. Much before him, Buddha is a healer. And he is an epitome of rationality. Because, in Buddhism, you don't have the concept of God or hell, heaven, etc. It's all about reason and thinking. That's why gradually you will see that from the incantations of Atharvaveda to Charak Samhita, 2nd century BC, our medical knowledge had moved from Daiva Bheshaj to Yukti Bheshaj. We didn't remain stuck to mantras only. Of course, today also we chant mantras, so what? But we kept on changing. This change is crucial. This change is history. We need to keep that process of change in our mind, in our historical understanding. And I don't want to go deep into the distant past because we have difficulties also in understanding it because of the lack of rigor that one needs to study, the corpus of knowledge preserved in classical languages. But it is being done, it has been done, and most of the manuscripts have survived, they are being discussed about. In Bombay IIT, we have Professor R. Subramaniam. In Madras, we have Sri Ram. Many other places where, it is being explored. It is not that the tradition is stopped with Bhaskara too, no. Normally it is said that 12th century onward, is a dark period or something like this. But no period in any historical account is either golden or dark. Every period has nuances of its own. You need to look into that. We need to look into that. So after 12th century, you have the great Kerala school of mathematics, 13th, 14th, 15th centuries. They came very close to modern calculus. You have the example of Nilakantha, and I'm very fond of quoting his ukti, which says, Etat sarvam yukti moolam. Everything is rooted in reason. Etat sarvam yukti moolam. Evanatva agam moolam. Nothing in dogmas. We were not dogmatic. Despite the ascendance of faith, despite our being deeply religious, we were open to new knowledge. We were open to questioning. Sometimes this spirit of questions were stopped. It happens in all civilizations. In European Christian civilization, they call it Dark Age. In Islam also. So our Brahmagupta also suffered when he described the eclipses correctly, he had to withdraw by saying that in the Puranas, it is Rahu and Ketu who does this miracle. So he goes one step forward, two steps backward, saying, no, Puranas must be correct. The problem with knowledge, circulation is, or knowledge generation is, that certain kind of knowledge become canonized, canonical knowledge, Shastra Sammat Gyan. So it is very difficult to challenge that Shastra Sammat Gyan. Still, knowledge advances. Sometimes you withdraw, but again, someone else will pick it up, take it up. This happened in terms of astronomy, this happened in terms of medicine, etc. Another thing which happened in our civilization, which is very unique to Indian civilization, is here you do not come across what Kuhn would call paradigm shift. He has made this term very popular, paradigm shift. Ours has been a polite civilization, where knowledge advanced through writing, tika, tippani, commentary, nighantu, etc. We never went for a sharp break with the past. That's why we couldn't produce a Copernicus or a Darwin. Probably that was not possible because of our cultural proclivities. But there were always the possibility of addition and subtraction. Jod ghatav. That we did. Every generation did. And it continued. The tension was there, but the tension never reached a point of volcano, point of eruption. It was managed. In my Shangu Nation, I have talked about my society as, something like a pressure cooker, where, the mechanism is allow the steam slowly to pass off, and it will never burst. Our Bhakti movement was part of that. Same. Another thing which we need to keep in mind, that like in many other civilizations, we believed in two kinds of knowledge, came to be separated into two branches. One para, the other apara. Deen dunya. When in Islam also, they have deen dunya. So one would be oriented towards theology, where questioning is prohibited, and other would be towards rational thinking or asking new questions. Unfortunately, or whatever be the historic regions or cultural regions, it is the deen that dominated. It is para that dominated. It continues even now. In Islam, this tension was seen by people like Al-Kindi, Al-Razi, Ibn Sina, many others, and they suffered for it. Al-Kindi was given 50 lashes. Razi was blinded for putting truth above Allah. So, this had been going on. In India, around the same time, 9th century, we have the great Adi Shankara, who is very Tarkic, who is a great logician, and before him, Nagarjuna is there. In fact, Adi Shankara is considered a Prachanna Buddhist because of his impact, the impact of Shunyavad, Nagarjuna Shunyavad on Adi Shankara. But still, Shankara, despite his understanding of Tarka, finally he argues that knowledge, mati, that is wisdom, not knowledge. Knowledge is different, mati is different, wisdom. Mati cannot be, wisdom cannot be obtained only through shushka tarka. Shushk, dry reasoning, shushka tarka cholbe. So you need anubhuti, experiential knowledge. This tradition continues. Paramhans is all about anubhuti. Even his best student kept asking him, Swami Vivekananda, why I don't see the mother? Ramanujan also, it was difficult for him to provide proof for everything. Sometimes he would go back, relapse to his tradition, say, no, the Devi tells me. Anubhuti. Both continued together. Tarka as well as Anubhuti in our knowledge system. And they influence the society. Of course, society not on a large scale. Because, whatever we may call ourselves mother of democracy or Bada Vishwaguru, etc., it was limited to only very limited people. Sabha Samitis were dominated or meant for the priestly class. In fact, look into Acharya P.C. Ray's History of Hindu Chemistry. There he writes like a sociologist. He says, because the society was divided into numerous branches, so caste played a devilish role. Garbhagriha came to be occupied by a particular class of people, and the people who worked with fingers, the Kumar, the potter, many others, they were pushed to the margins of the village. So there was no coordination between mind and the fingers, mind and the hand. So in speculation, we went very high. We have highly speculative philosophy to justify all kinds of developments, good or bad. We do it a bit now. This is justification for anything we do today. You'll see it, But the truth remains that there was a disjunction between mind and the fingers. Had the two collaborated, probably we wouldn't have been colonized. Our society would have developed at a faster rate than we have. In Europe, most of the modern advances were made by people who had artisanal background. James Watt was not a professor in a university. Or the man who was grinding glass, Leeuwen Hoek in Leiden, was not an academic. But he was the first to see that another kind of life exists within us, outside us. Today it is very easy to talk of microbes, but it was in 16th century that he chanced to see rainwater while grinding glass. He could see there was life, there was something moving. And he wrote a very interesting letter to the Royal Society, which I have seen in Royal Society archive. I quote, he says, I have seen a whole new world which cannot be sighted through naked eyes. This question of sight, drishti, is very important. Only when you have sight, you will get insight. But unfortunately, our forefathers went for insight directly. Were they blind? No, I won't say they were blind. Oriented towards para. We were worried more about what comes after life, after death, than what is there before death. आज भी वही हाल. We are worried about what happens after we die. That was the difference. Para. This is what you will find in the discourse, in the discussions between Mahendralal Sarkar and Paramhans himself. You know Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar, the founder of Indian Association for Cultivation of Science. He used to treat, he was very fond of Paramhans. They used to be, he treated it. The treatment didn't succeed, but they argued with each other, put forward their point of view. That dichotomy continued. Meghnad Saha talks about it later, early 20th century. He also faced problems. There is a very interesting anecdote after his work on thermal ionization. He got a great name. And he returned to Dhaka, his native place, where the barrister came to see him, a barrister, and said, "Oh, Meghnad, you have done such a big thing. What can you explain to me what it's all about?" So he tried it, explained the equation in 15 minutes or so, but the barrister, just put the, "Don't you think it is in the Vedas? We have worshipped Savita. It's there. What new you have?" Professor Saha tried again, another half an hour and so, but the barrister was less than satisfied. Finally, Professor Saha had to throw his hands down. Sabai Vedyate. Fine. The debate stops. This had been going on for centuries, millennia. It's not, and today also we are facing the same. When I talk something which doesn't gel with today's WhatsApp gang, then, my friends, my relatives, they blame JNU for this. I never studied in JNU, I taught there. I'm a Patna boy, product of Patna University. But what do? Arguments sometimes stop. And then you have to navigate yourself. Scientists shouldn't give up. We should try to navigate, find other ways to have negotiation and counter-negotiation. This is what our forefathers also did, very smartly, brilliant. I gave you the example of Nilkanta. Praful Chandra himself, he would put the ashes of bones while teaching on his table without telling them what kind of bone is this. And many students would be absolutely nervous whether he's giving human bone or a cow bone or what is which animal bone. So we have, our forefathers have tried it. Now let me go back again because we have already discussed a little bit on ancient. We move to medieval where people argue that it was a dark age. I don't think, no age is dark. You have Jain Munis devoted to astronomy. Hira Raja during Muhammad Tughlaq's time, he composes texts and he argues with Tughlaq's, he is a member of Tughlaq's court. Then Firoz Shah Tughlaq also. In fact, before him, much before him, in early 11th century, we have Al-Barni, who comes along with Ghazni's expeditions to Somnath. We know about Ghazni more, less about Al-Barni. He spent 2-3 years here. He learned Sanskrit. And whole chapter in Alberni's Kitab Hind is devoted to Brahmagupta. And why Brahmagupta? He knew the truth, but why he didn't stick to it? Yes. One of the sentences which he writes, which struck me, is that Indian knowledge system is a mixture of gems and cow dung. You have ratnas in gobar. How do you sift? How do we take out the gems? He realized that Indian knowledge system had great potentials, but somehow that potential couldn't be realized fully, which the post-Renaissance Europe did, and therefore gradually they could overpower and capture not only India, but almost 80% of the earth. You know, we had great empires like Ottoman, Safavid in Iran, Mughal in India, Manchu, China. All these collapsed in 18th century gradually. And in the vacuum created, who come? Small seafaring nations, Portugal, the Danes, the Dutch, later the British, the French, the Spaniards, of course. It happened because the knowledge which moved from China, the 4 great inventions, printing, gunpowder, compass, paper, in Europe, it created a revolution. In China, it couldn't. In fact, this is a very fundamental question. Joseph Needham had so many volumes, tomes written on science and civilization in China. Unfortunately, in India, we don't have such a. In Jadavpur, of course, Professor the great philosopher. I tend to forget these days, for my apologies, but he tried that whole series on studies in science and philosophy in India have come out. And the question asked by Needham was, why modern science didn't take place in China? It had all the wealth. Answer probably is because they were too Mandarin. They were too bureaucratic. In China, there were Mandarins. In India, of course, we have the great Brahmins. And in between them, both empires, both societies sank. Even today, we refuse to see each other, you know. The Chinese are not, the great leader is not coming to our huge jamboree. But anyway, that's Mandarin and the Brahmin. So, did science suffer in the process? Yes, it did. Rationality did suffer in the process. We were obsessed with social problems. Even now you look into a book called Social History. What it will have? And what do you teach to your students when you teach social history? You teach Brahma Samaj, Arya Samaj, Kartabhajaj, and so forth. Meera, Kabir, Chaitanya, or even before Ramanujan, etc. That's all. Is social history only Bhakti movement? Is there a social history of science? Is there a social history of technology? Is there a social history of medicine? We saw this innocuous virus created so much of social upheaval and economic damage. Single RNA virus created so much of hangama. Should it not be part of social history? Should not be taught? Unfortunately, our forefathers, I mean, in 19th century, late 19th, early 20th century, they were aware of it. You have someone like Acharya Praful Chandra Ray. You have many more those days. Professor B.N.C. Many more. Now that tribe has dwindled completely. Professor Satyen Bose had established Science and Society section in Indian Science Congress, 1947. And of course, Bongye Vigyan Parishad, he was there all the time. See the status of Indian Science Congress today. Compare it with 1914, when Sir Ashutosh was there. In fact, you won't find a book celebrating 100 years of this great institution. Nothing. तो souvenir होता बस. Authentic, historical, critical analysis, this is what we lack. On Asiatic society, you will have many. But we lack a historical understanding of not only how great our forefathers were, but how their successive generations went wrong or slept. Generations sometimes go drowsy. It happens. It's all in the nature and force of history. There are times when someone with great potential could have marked a break, could have come out with, what again to use this term, paradigm shift. But he couldn't for certain reasons. For example, Jaise, he could have been the father of modern India 100 years before Ram Mohan Roy. He had all the potential. Great prince, great scholar, an eye over experiments. He dealt with astrolabes. He had inherited the Indo-Islamic Siddhantas. He creates great jantras, which you know as jantar mantar. These are jantras, these are instruments. Of course, masonry instruments, which only royalty could have done. He even creates a royal school of astronomy, Royal Society of Astronomy in Jaipur, where he invites people, different places. Numerous astronomers joined him. Jagannath Samrat, Vidyadhar, and many more. And tracts were written, manuscripts were written. Rekhadan, Euclid was translated via Arabic. In late 16th, early 17th century. Late 17th century. Numerous such attempts were made. But unfortunately, even though Copernicus precedes Jayasingh by century, he had not heard of Copernicus. Those days, ideas took time to travel. And moreover, Copernicus was not accepted in Europe itself for almost several decades. He had sent a scientific mission to Spain, Jayasingh. In Spain, and they returned from Spain. In Spain, we had a long tradition because of Spain being Andalusia. And, we had a cultural, so from Aleppo, Damascus, Spain, Istanbul, yes. We had connections. But had his delegation reached Paris or London, then he may have heard of Copernican revolution. He made change. It is not that he accepted the Samhitas as they existed. No, he made changes in, the calculation of velocity of stars and so forth, nakshatras also. He was original. he couldn't transcend his cultural limitations. And the Jeez, that's the Panchang, which he created, the almanac, which is called Jeez Muhammad Shah, was almost 70% the reputation of Jeez Ulugh Beg, Jeez Ulugh Khani, which was 14th-year-old, the great Ulugh Beg astronomer of Samarkand had produced. This is where we missed again. He would have been the father of modern India. We missed him. He missed us. And it is not only about modernity. Modernity is a concept which say, I mean, when our ancient forefathers were modern, it is not. Who will say Aryabhatta was not modern? He comes close to heliocentric. But Charak is not modern. Shushruta in his surgical skills is not modern. Now, the way we use modernity is because of our Eurocentric obsession. But Jai Singh had the potential to become father of modern India. He missed. Century later, gratefully, Raja Ram Mohan Roy picked it up in his famous letter to Lord Amherst and in his activities. You have the Hindu College, later becomes presidency. Many other things which we are, the direct inheritors. Direct inheritors. And gradually, though colonization was no philanthropy, colonization was a machine of war, it extracted, it oppressed, no doubt about it. Still, it left for us certain institutions. Look around certain buildings, dilapidated buildings now in Kolkata, but they are living examples of something good that was also done. The institutions which were built, created. Numerous institutions. Look at Calcutta Medical College, Grant Medical College, and the role of the Asiatic Society. We had forgotten our past. We didn't know about Ashoka. We didn't know about his inscriptions. We had lost the knowledge of Kharoshthi, which is our most ancient script. We had lost the whole civilization in this valley. They did dump all this out for us, for our benefit. 19th century society, if you look and compare it with 9th century society, you'll see a huge difference. Huge. What we are today and a few centuries ago, huge difference. That's how our population has quadrupled. Huge middle class has come, Bhadralok, which was so tiny in 19th century. Literature, social consciousness, political consciousness, all emerged because of this emphasis on reason and science. The role played by people and places like Sharampur, Uttarpara, the library, Asiatic Society, people involved there, all this have laid the foundation on which we stand today, on which we live today. Intellectual foundation. And there were discussions. People were worried about what to accept, what to reject. Vidyasagar is an example. Here is a traditional scholar, but highly liberated. He allowed his students to study both Copernicus as well as the Puranas. Rahu Ketu bhi, both. Islamic knowledge was little slow to develop because in Islam, unfortunately, orthodoxy has always been very predominant. And in India, the kind of Islam that we received is not the Islam of Al-Kindi or Razi, Ibn Haytham, but is the Islam of Al-Ghazali, 11th century, who said everything go back to the holy book. Everything is done by Allah. Fine. And the society is paying a price for it even now. That orthodoxy. Still, it is the same Islam which could produce Sir Syed Ahmad, who established a scientific society in Aligarh, who talked about the holy book for personal works, for personal reasons, who talked of deen without compromising on dunya, who talked of maqul. And later you have, in Kolkata also, you have the great example, Begum Rokhaya Hussain. Look at it. Her Sultana Har Swapna. I get goosebumps whenever I think of her imagination. It's not only from a feminist perspective, but as a human being. She is much ahead of her time. And she argues that even women can defend the frontiers. You don't need muscular men to do that. She will use solar energy to blast the enemies. In 1905, she is talking about it. Interestingly, it is almost the same time that you have a period when you have Professor J.C. Bose himself talking about solar energy. Much before his book on the living and the non-living. In fact, I saw his diary, personally I saw, when I met and visited Professor S.D. Chatterjee in Baliganj, his residence. He showed me, and he had noted down how we can harness solar energy and the process of photosynthesis can help or not. There were people much ahead of their time. Now, the significance of a historical, where do my discipline come? History is that it makes us aware of that India, or our civilization, our culture, is not only about religion and politics. It's much more than that. Let us transcend, move ahead, take those things which would help us chart a better future, which would help our grandchildren. What do we leave for them? Only 1.5 billion population. And drum beating, tamashabazi. Science is not tamasha. Science is not, forgive me for saying so, technology demonstration. Nowadays, everybody becomes scientists. Engineers are engineers. Physicians are physicians. Surgeons are surgeons. Not every one of them is a scientist. We need to differentiate. We need to understand what science is. This is what our people like C.V. Raman, Meghnad Shah kept on talking about. Please don't ignore pure science. Please don't ignore fundamental research. Technologies overpower us. Hey, they're fine, they're magic. Even railway steam engine was a magic at one time, as today the ISRO rocket is. Isn't it? In childhood, I used to watch, a steam engine coming. I would stand. The same which the great movie maker captured in Pather Panchali. Fascinated by that. That is technology demonstration. I'm talking to you thanks to the technology. But this doesn't make me a fundamental researcher. Fundamental researcher, J.C. Bose, semiconductor. There are many. Even after independence, you have Dr. G.N. Ramchandran. How many people know of him? Is Ramchandran map? Does he figure in any textbook? Many more. We find some names who were associated with great political leaders. And they contributed, no doubt about it. Joseph Mahalanobis, for example. We know of Sir Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay. How many people know about Paranjpe? You won't find him in any textbook. Or Sikdar, Radhanath Sikdar. Well, a lot could have been said, sir. Do forgive me for my random thoughts, but I've tried to include most of the things which I have said in this 150-page book. It is already there. It has been published. It's available for last 2 months. And that Culture of Science book from Primus is also available, but that's a little expensive. This one is paperback and is easily available on Amazon. And this is where we need to popularize, bring it to the knowledge of our thinking population, which includes scientists, engineers, social scientists. After all, knowledge is a one huge carpet. We all contribute to it. We all know so little. We all know so little. Still, whatever little we know can be made useful and, available through communication and through classroom teaching, etc. Thank you very much I stop here and for your kind attention, for giving me the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful speech. Now I just request the participants, if you have any question, either you can unmute yourself, just talk to the speaker, or else you can type it in the chat box. We can convey the message to the speaker. So whatever you want to do, please proceed.
Kaushik, may I ask you some question?
Yes, sir, of course.
Very nice lecture, but I want to know that the knowledge of science flow from the Babylonian, that is the Misr, to Greece, and from the Greece they came to Europe, and then to Iran, and then to China, then to India. One of the section believe like that, but other section of peoples, the really Indians, they believe that all are written in the Sulva Sutta that you mentioned. But when I met with some Iranian people, we have a Omar Khayyam, the greatest scientist and greatest philosopher. So we have knowledge of this. So many contributions. So there is some books of history of mathematics that is written by someone published in Dover publication, and everybody is confused that what are the real line of thinking. India claims that everything is right in our, even in mathematics, even in rocket science, all are placed in our syllabus. What is your opinion regarding this?
Sir, I love confusion. Confusion means that you are alive. Confusion is good. And Nana munde mati bhinna. We have a right to interpret, but we don't have a right to manufacture data, manufacture facts. This is what is happening in WhatsApp. Don't do that. In fact, it would be very wrong to say that knowledge grew at one place, be it Greek, be it Babylonian, be it Aryavarta. No. The moment we developed into Homo sapiens, and we were spread all around the globe, from hominid to Homo sapien, and then we became Homo faber, Homo hierarchicus, all kinds of homos that we are aware of. It came automatically to us. So there is an autonomous growth of knowledge everywhere. You go to Mexico, you will find knowledge there. Knowledge of stars. Many things. Health. Those days also people used to die, they would suffer, people tried their best. Even the most primitive society, which we think is primitive, sub-Saharan society, has lots of knowledge. I won't dismiss. I would not dismiss anyone. It has autonomous growth. So I don't believe in this claiming, monopoly over one or the other. This is wrong. Then there is always transmission. Even once knowledge is generated, it cannot be contained, confined. Where are the borders? In ancient time, borders were not there. In medieval time, they were so flexible. Even in modern times, border पे तो झगड़ा ही होता है खाली और क्या?
Now, if you look at the if you look at the 300 BC or before that, I think the Babylonian cultures is more powerful, especially Misr culture. And that is why related. But at that time, the Indian culture was not so sophisticated. That is why
You are talking 3rd century BC?
Yeah, BC.
No, sir, 3rd century BC, you have post-Buddha, you have Buddhist period.
Buddha, yeah.
You have a highly developed, you have Panini, you have Jivaka, you have many people. I mean, the linguistic skills, and you have Takshila. Of course, Nalanda comes a little later, but it was a civilization.
I am talking about the science, not, yeah.
No, but they're in a way, it depends on the definition of science. Panini is doing science. Who would say Panini is not a scientist? Would you say that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Or Jivaka is not a scientist? You have to, there is one thing I would like to add here. You look at one text and put that text into context. Then only a text inside a context makes knowledge. Both have to be taken into account, text as well as context. So Aryabhatta and the context in which he lived, both taken together will make sense. Otherwise, if we remove that, only we read the text, then we are likely to be strayed. Both together. A historian, my understanding is that text and context must go together. Even today, anything that happens, your technology demonstration has a context. Without context, don't accept anything. Even your own research. Thank you, sir. Can we move forward?
Just one. Kaushik, I have just one discussion. In Islamic period, there are many constructions. Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
In Islamic period, especially in Mughal time, there are many constructions which are very, very scientific, like Humayun tomb and other structures. But nowadays we can't find that type of structures or that type of scientific structures in our society. So,
if you go to Humayun's tomb, sir, next time, I would suggest that when you go, you have the small, burj through which, 7-8, through which you get through which you pass, and finally you see the white dome coming up. Next time when you go, return with your back backwards. Don't turn your back to the dome. Return like this. And you will see that the dome, when you go, moon comes up. When you come out, moon will go down. Every centimeter is calculated. You are absolutely right. I like Humayun's tomb more than even Taj Mahal. But before that, 11th century, you have Brihadeshwara temple. You go inside Brihadeshwara temple in Tanjore and see how each slab, tons of stone, used to stone, is placed. There is no seepage. And, elephants should carry it on a ramp running into 5 miles gradually. So people had practical knowledge. Unfortunately, that practical knowledge was not systematized and left to us in terms of a manuscript.
Yes, yeah.
Taj Mahal का भी नहीं है, मुंड का नहीं है, उसका नहीं है, बृहदेश्वरा का, Puri temple, many others, or the viharas, the Buddhist viharas which were made earlier. Remarkable, the weight was distributed. There is no pillar in a Buddhist vihara. It is distributed. So these were extreme examples of intellect and
scientific thoughts.
They didn't survive. That's another thing. The monument is surviving, but that knowledge was not codified and given to us in a written form. That was misfortune.
Yes. Thank
Even
you.
now, some people do. Most of our scientists don't leave their private papers.
Yeah.
वो छुपा के रखेगा. अब वो चला गया. I knew Professor M.G.K. Menon had a great, he loved me. At the fag end of his life, I found him burning his papers. I told him, sir, what are you doing? This is history. He said, no, there are too many skeletons, Deepak. I don't want to create problem for us. And skeletons are bound to be there. Why should you bother? My grandchildren have a right to know who am I. बस चला गया. जेसी बोस का पेपर जाइए ना, आचार्य को नहीं देगा. मैं ग्लासगो जाके पढ़ा, एडिनबरा में पढ़ा. Geddes and J.C. Bose correspondence. And J.C. Bose had a tension with Sarashutosh. All this I have mentioned in my article. There was some problem. But anyway, it's natural. What is wrong in it? Both were great people. Even if they fought, so what? As a grandchild, I have a right to know them. I have a right to, as a historian, I have a right to. Unfortunately, we deny our own posterity the right to know. ये बड़ा problematic रहा है हमारे यहाँ.
Okay, thank you, sir. Kaushik.
Yes. Thank you. Any other question
Sir, may I ask one question, please?
from any of the participants? Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, sir, I was reading some books on Second World War recently, and it had been written there to make the atomic weapons, the science has been hugely affected by politics. But in previous times of the Second World War, science and politics had been quite disjoint to each other. So was it really true for India also that science and politics had been quite disjoint from each other?
Yes, I think what your book has said is the correct thing. Recently, you may have seen the movie Oppenheimer. And, Oppenheimer suffered that duality. Poor fellow sought refuge in Bhagavad Gita also. I am destroyer. Mahakal doesn't mean destroyer. God doesn't destroy. Mahakal is done. But anyway, he felt comfortable in Bhagavad Gita. He was dismissed by Truman. Truman said, he went and told Truman, I have blood in my hands. He said, okay, wash it off. They gave him the handkerchief, clean it, get it off. Politicians are rude, crude people. They are short-sighted. All politicians, including our Vishwaguru. Ab kya karenge? But you have to deal with them because they are powerful. They give you the the grant, the money. So the best thing is for the Acharya. You have Acharyas like Pisire, you have Acharyas earlier also. The tradition of our Saptarishis and so forth, where they could stand before the king. And the king paid them due respect, full obeisance. Today, that may have gone down, but still you have the power to negotiate. You have the power to re-articulate. You have the power to argue. Don't leave the field. Pisire never left the field. Here was a freedom fighter also, not only a scientist. He was an educator, a teacher, so many things. Meghnad Saha, a fundamental researcher, still went up to the parliament, fought against his own friend Nehru. So, unfortunately, the wars have acted as a catalyst. I would suggest you read a good book by one of my friends called J.N. Sinha, Jagdish
Yes, sir.
Narayan Sinha.
Recommend, sir.
War, Imperialism, and it has come from Manohar Indian edition. War, Imperialism, and Science.
Okay.
So their Second World War was a catalyst. Similarly, today, we are preparing for war. It's either a space war or I don't know what kind of war we are. But all these technology demonstrations show that we have some kind of a blood-sucking instinct. But at the same time, we need them. I'm not saying that security has to be ignored. Security is important. But as I said earlier, G.N. Ramchandran is also important. The man who made in Kolkata this ORS salt is important. He saved millions of lives. Sankhiki is important. It makes a difference in planning in many things. So science is not only for war. War hawks it because of its charismatic property. So some kind of Chandrayaan. ठीक है, पुष्पक विमान तो हमारे यहाँ पहले उड़ता ही था ना भाई. It is the extension of that imagination. चला गया. मैं मना नहीं करता, but look at your neighborhood before you look at sun and moon. Your neighborhood is as important scientifically as the distant planets are. Why can't we make a balance, humoral balance, madhyam marg, as Buddha would say? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. If anybody has any question. And if anybody wants to type it in the chat box, you may. I've also checked parallelly the session is being conveyed in the YouTube session also. So I could find no question here, the chat box in the YouTube sessions. So if there is no further question, now I have the opportunity to offer the vote of thanks. And at the beginning, on behalf of this organizing committee, we want to express our gratitude to Professor Deepak Kumar for his valuable time, and he has kindly agreed to deliver the lecture over this online platform, and that he has chosen this particular topic in this particular day. So we are very much grateful to you, and that is quite, of course, we should all agree in this particular respect that this session is a wonderful one, and we have all enjoyed this session a lot. So thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful lecture and sharing your knowledge. And on behalf of this organizing committee, I and Dr. Pablo Vishwas, being the coordinators of this program, let me thank Professor Roshajit Kumar Bera, our Honorable President, sir, of the Calcutta Mathematical Society, for his time and valuable speech. I'd like to express our sincere gratitude for the leadership of our Secretary, Professor Arinda Bhattacharya, and his wonderful talk welcoming this gathering here. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude and thanks to all the EC members, Executive Council members of this Calcutta Mathematical Society for their wonderful cooperation and for being there from the very beginning. And at the end, let me thank all the participants here for your cooperation and for your motivation so that we can have a success at least for this entire program. And finally, also to share our thankfulness to P.N. Dash College for providing the particular platform to maintain this particular online sessions here and just to record everything. So thanks to the administration of P.N. Dash College and is represented by Dr. Babdu Bishash. So this is the session. We thank you all, and also in the chat box we have provided this link to have this feedback form. Please fill up this feedback form to have the e-certificate. Automatically it will be sent to your email address what is being provided. So thank you all, and just conclusion. Yes, yes, Professor Bhatt.
One thing I mentioned, like of course,
yes,
Professor Deepak Kumar, that we of Calcutta Mathematical Society also celebrated the one-day seminar on the memory of Radhanath Sikdar. Yeah, we have already done 4 or 5 years before. I want to remember you. So we remember Radhanath Sikdar and his technique to make the altitude of the peak.
Peak 50. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And
Okay, thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. Okay. Thank you. So we can leave now.